What's up, everyone? Today is June 4th. It's a Friday. I'm going to be going over a couple of trades I took today. I made, I believe it was 534 US dollars after commissions. So a pretty good day on my end. And I'm going to be covering some of the high quality setups I saw and I was able to capitalize on, and also some ways for me to improve. I could have done a much better job with scale outs. I could have done a little bit more. I could have done a little bit better job with emotions as well. So I'm going to be going over everything. And as always, I love the bigger picture. So let's start with SPY and QQQ. Okay, so SPY, still kind of trading in this range, but we did have a nice bullish day on the daily. It's still forming. As I said before, every single dip is getting bought up in this market. We trend up, we come down, this dip gets bought up. People get annihilated playing puts here. We rally again, we dip, it looks like we're bearish, millions of retail traders are bearish, and then we get bought right back up. So what happened when we dipped below this recent support level right here at 4180? I can bet you there were millions of retail traders who traded here and got annihilated, and now they're suffering. They're stopping out, and we're close to all-time highs. So again, no reason to fight the trend, no reason to play puts. Very similar analysis on NQ. Dip below support, now we're coming back up to all-time highs. And now let's go over a couple of setups I took. As always, going to review with my favorite stock. I mean, I've been trading this every single day at this point. I mean, NVDA is a beast, and I'm actually in love with this stock because it's been providing such nice setups, and all of that comes from the daily time frame. Why do we have such good setups every day on NVIDIA? Because we're breaking all-time highs. Every single day in the night, I literally just change this all-time high level to whatever's printed here, because every single day we're making new all-time highs. So almost every single day there's a high quality setup on NVIDIA. So again, daily time frame bullish. So let me go over to video so I can analyze my entries and exits. Oh shit, 1 second. Okay. I want to make sure that I'm still recording. Sorry about that. Okay, I am recording. All right, great. So NVIDIA, first trade of the day. So I know Dylan played this long right here. He took the breakout after we retested all-time highs. If I'm being completely honest, I did take this setup, and it wasn't a good setup in my opinion, because yes, we did annihilate daily supply, but I mean, just look in context. We were at a very powerful stacked fresh supply zone from around 935-ish to around 950, 10. So while NVIDIA did run higher and I was able to capitalize on this move up, it was not a good trade in my opinion because NQ was in fresh supply. So I really just need to, put my foot down and say that, okay, if the setup goes, it goes. It will have to run without me because NQ is in fresh supply. But I did, take profits really quickly because I was emotional, went against my rules, NQ in supply. Not a good trade on my end. But then this is where I saw a very high probability setup in my opinion, and it worked out phenomenally. I made, I believe it was, I think maybe around like 450 US dollars. I don't remember the exact amount because I do have Interactive Broker shut down, but let me go over the context of this trade. So now NQ is in 4-hour supply, ES is in 4-hour supply, both are fresh zones. However, I am still willing to play calls, and the reason why is look at this reaction from supply. So you can see that the second ES, we approached supply, we didn't have a massive sell-off. Same with NQ. ES had broken through several supply zones. NQ had broken through daily 2-hour, 1-hour supply zones. So I know that sellers are not strong at all, and hence I'm willing to play calls despite there being supply, because I know in a strong trending market to the upside like today, all supply is pullbacks for a move higher. Look at this. ES rallies into 2-hour supply. We pull back, and look, we're getting ready to make another move higher. NQ, we rally through 3 supplies. We pull back from 4-hour supply. We move up to our next supply at 1 hour. And now, we're breaking through this 1-hour supply. So that's just a quick piece of advice. In a trending market, when we're up like 2% on QQQ itself, no reason to be scared of supply, in my opinion. But let me go over the trade I saw. So this is the thing I saw. If you go to a 30-minute time frame, you can see that NVIDIA was forming a clear as day 30-minute rally, base rally. So that's my first confirmation. Obviously, this 30-minute rally candle didn't move as much as I wanted it to, but that's just how it goes sometimes. This was the entire consolidation period. So that's my first confirmation, 30-minute rally, base rally. Second confirmation is, NVIDIA, whatever you call it, relative strength on a shorter time frame, on a higher time frame. Regardless, NVIDIA just broke all-time highs and is trending higher. So NVIDIA is clearly strong. 2 confirmations. Third confirmation is we moved up on nice volume, then we consolidated on lower volume, and then we started moving up again on higher volume. This is a clear volume pattern that I see all the time. We move up nicely on good volume, then we consolidate on lower volume, and then start moving up. So that is my third confirmation. My fourth confirmation is, simply the fact, just looking at context, SPY and QQQ have been moving up very, very nicely, very aggressive move to the upside, no sellers today at all. So that is my fourth confirmation. And then probably the confirmation that I personally liked the most was the fact that NVIDIA was approaching the 700 level. 700 is a huge psychological level for NVIDIA. So, you can bet that there's probably millions of shares or millions of people trading NVIDIA at the 700 level because such important key levels have a lot of activity around them. So that's 5 confirmations. So my entry, pretty simple. I wanted to anticipate the high day break a little bit. So as soon as we crossed 700, I entered pretty much. Okay, yeah. So as soon as we crossed 700, we didn't close well, so I was getting ready to stop out and maybe reevaluate. And then we had this beautiful bullish candle, broke above high day, closed above high day on good volume. I did size up a little bit because we had multiple confirmations. So I entered 3 contracts at, I believe, 460. Took my first one off. Keep in mind, this is same day expiration. So I took my first one off here at 6. And at this point, I was probably up maybe like 800, 900 US dollars, but I just stuck to my plan, I'm not going to sell just by how much money I am. And at this point, my TOS and Interactive Brokers Pro account both had crashed. So I had to restart both of them. And that just wasn't a pleasant experience. So my goal was to originally sell 2 at 6, 2/3, but I was only able to sell 1. And then when we got this pullback here, I just wanted to protect myself. I sold another one here at 5. And then at this point, I'm super patient. I've just locked in around, I don't know, close to maybe like 200 US dollars. So that's the worst case scenario for me. The worst case scenario is that I walk away from this trade with 200 US dollars if my last contract goes to break even. The best case scenario is obviously we move higher. And while it wasn't the best move up, you can see that right here, we broke higher day right here. And then I just wanted to get one more push up because, I don't want to hold too much with same day expiration. So as soon as we got this last push up, I believe, I think I sold the last contract again at $6. So, or I don't remember the exact price, but I did sell my last contract up here. So execution wise, I believe this was a perfect trade on my end. Obviously, I would have wanted to sell 2 here, but due to broker issues, I wasn't able to. Regardless, though, this was a great trade with multiple confirmations backing it up. Let's go on to the next trade, which is Google. And if you follow the main chat in the investor trade in the Discord, you can see that I've been eyeing this Google setup for probably the last week, you know. And when I'm watching the setup for an entire week, I'm gonna go in with more heavier size because I have confidence in the setup. So this is where I believe I could have traded this better. You know, I panicked and it kind of cost me. So you can see that yes, we are in daily supply. However, the fact that we've used the supply maybe 3 or 4 times, I'm not worried about this supply at all. And I notified this as well. I was getting ready to take. I was anticipating the prior day high day break and then a potential 2400 break. So where I entered originally was, geez, I don't even remember where I entered. Okay, I don't even know, but I remember entering somewhere right here. I believe it was this 5 minute RB&R right before prior high day. You can see that, you know, we're approaching this major resistance level, which, you know, I've been eyeing for the last week. This entire area, this 2390 area, and the second we break above it, you know, we're gonna have a huge push to the upside. So I enter right here. For some reason, I sold my first contract for a loss because the Google contracts were moving very, very poorly, and I did get a pretty bad fill. So I think I entered five at like 256, and I sold my first one at 250 or two. And I think I was trying to stop out for like a $200 loss and then reevaluate, but I got lucky in the fact that it only executed one of my contracts. And then as soon as we got this nice push up, Google contracts were not moving at all. So I sold the majority of my position on this move up, and hence I only locked in about like $80 right here, which is just, it's horrible risk management. You know, I had a trading plan. I knew that this was a higher time frame setup. I knew that there was a very, very good chance that Google could potentially run higher. So there was absolutely no reason for me to sell three of the remaining four contracts on this move up. I should have scaled out accordingly better, maybe scale one out here, then right here, and then on this next push, and then hold for the 2400 break. So I did end up selling like three contracts right here. And then we get this push up. And keep in mind, I'm holding one contract to see if we can break 2400. So this is where I want to give myself credit. I did a beautiful, beautiful job of risk management. You know, I was able to hold for this entire move up despite having these red candles, because psychologically I know that the worst case scenario is I make like 70 or $80, and the best case scenario is, you know, I make a shit ton more. So at this point, my last contract is up over $1.50, and you know, I could have sold that. I could have locked in another 150, but I had a clear plan in place, and that plan was to sell after we broke the 2400 key level. Unfortunately, we did not break it. So as we started coming down, I sold my last contract. Not sure when. I was watching other equities at this time, but it was somewhere in this area where I sold my last one for 270, so $14 gain on the last contract, which is pretty unfortunate. But you know, this trade, for some reason, because of how the contracts moved, my emotions were all over the place. This should have been a trade where, you know, I locked in maybe $300 $400. Unfortunately, I only came out $70 in the green. But regardless, this was a good setup. You know, this is a high probability setup based off of higher time frame analysis, which, you know, worked out almost perfectly. Next one is Apple. So I did not take this, or I don't know if I did or not. Oh yes, I did. I did take Apple here. My bad. So we I haven't been watching Apple at all, but after I talked about how in a couple of videos how I wasn't considering Apple because we were super choppy. But once we had broken this, you know, downward trend, and now we have momentum to the upside, I'm now considering calls on Apple. So after we break this, I was looking at some entry before this trend line break. However, I did not have the consolidation I needed, so, you know, I simply didn't chase. Um, I waited, and I was eyeing this, you know, potential 15-minute rally base and then potential rally. Uh, so I honestly think this was a good setup where I just lost money. You know, that's perfectly fine. That's just how trading goes sometimes. Maybe I should have called it a day after I was up nicely on two winning trades, but regardless, I entered somewhere around here, And then as always, my rule is to wait for a 5 minute candle close. So I had waited for this candle to close, and then I basically, stopped out right here because my trading plan here was failed. Maybe, this is something through just journaling and noticing. Lately, what I've been doing is I've been anticipating the break a little bit too much. The proper entry for a 15-minute RBNR is once we break the high, maybe you can enter like a second before we break the high, but we need to be really, really close to the high before moving. Um, so that's just something I need to work on. Maybe stop anticipating the break a little bit too much, and take it closer to high day, which is just lessons for next time. And then this NVIDIA one was the exception because we had so many confirmation. So I knew as soon as we'd break 700, we had a good possibility of moving higher. Yep. So I'm going to end the video here. It was a pretty good day on my end, and I am up now close to, I believe, 70% return on investment in the last 2 weeks. So very good trading on my end. And hopefully I can, my goal is to take this account all the way to 5 figures. So, hopefully I will be able to do that in the upcoming months. But I hope you guys had a good week. If not, just refocus and then we'll be back to it on Monday.